Abstract brainwaves, game genie in the beanie. We ain't on the same stage, leveled up.
Other yellow hat guy here, back with another video. And a lot of gaming news has been out. I've been a little MIA, I feel, with you guys this week, and I'm trying to correct that today, 5 a.m. in the morning. We got a lot of gaming news to cover. We've got some other stuff going on in the world right now. I think you know what I'm talking about without me saying it, but change is coming. So what we're going to cover today is the PlayStation 5 reveal. We're also going to cover Arcade1UP and the new arcade machines they have. Yes, your boy got lucky and I got one for free. Now, one of the new ones, an older one, somebody was not sure how it worked or if it does work. And, you know, my plan was, even if it doesn't work, maybe I could gut it and get a Raspberry Pi in there and make some things happen, but we'll see how that goes. It's an old Rampage setup with Joust, and I think it has Defender and Gauntlet on there. So it's only got 2 buttons, so it's not going to be as cool as, you know, these Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter cabinets that have multiple buttons there, which would allow you to play multiple ROMs. But I'm happy it was free. I mean, this is like a $300 arcade cabinet that I got for free, and worst case, I have to buy the, you know, LCD monitor and a new PCB board to make the game run. And what I mean by that is the monitors for the screen, right? The screen, and then the actual chip. I'd have to buy that unit all together from Arcade1UP for, you know, maybe 165 bucks. Is it worth it? It's half the price of the unit itself almost, but that's a story that I'll get to another time. We'll figure that out later. But they've got some stuff coming up. PS5 also has some games coming out for in the next couple of years that they showcase during this reveal. So why don't we just get straight to that, right? Sony originally had this maybe set up for the 4th of June, but they moved it because of, you know, sensitive issues that are happening right now that are going on in the United States, and they felt, hey, the attention needed to be on that, we'll move it a few days. So they moved it to the 11th, which was yesterday. Sorry, I'm dating myself in these videos. You guys that have been sticking with me this far, you know that, right? So they moved it to the 11th, and after waiting for maybe a half hour and listening to other people talk and trying to hype up a countdown, they try to make it like a sporting event. And then when they finally showcased some of the games, the trailers were like movies. Yeah, you know, you go to the movies, I know it's been a while since a lot of us have been. You go to the movies and there's these, you know, quick 20-second trailers. They didn't show a lot of gameplay. It just went, boom, here's a trailer, coming soon, blah, 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 blah. And then maybe after that they had a creator, or, you know, from these developers talk a little more, and then they showed some gameplay. So some notable games here, I've got a list here. They started out with Grand Theft Auto 5. There were some leaks out that indicated that Rockstar was having a game for PS5. Some of the bigger news sites like Spawnwave Media, who I watch and all that, they were saying, hey, maybe this could be GTA 6. No. But a port of GTA 5, that seemed more I can't say that right. That seemed more likely, we'll just put it like that, than a reveal for GTA 6. It's just way too early, and even though they've been working on that for a few years now, I imagine, I don't think they would just drop it like as one of the launch titles for PS5. That would be phenomenal if they did. But hey, you get the online mode, GTA 5 Online or whatever, or GTA Online, whatever you guys, whatever the name is, that's going to be free at launch for you. So there you go. It should look graphically superior to, you know, PS4. I'm not sure how much better than the PS4 Pro, but it's going to look great. So there's that. What really was attractive to me was this Spider-Man game. Yeah, it's the Miles Morales version. So The fact that it's ready so quick, it's like, are they using the same engine? What's going on here? Did they immediately start it right after the Spider-Man game, which I want to say is like 2 years old now? Part of me feels like maybe it came out last June. Maybe it did. Maybe it came out last June, so it's only a year old. I'm not really sure. I haven't finished it yet, sadly. But there's a lot of games I haven't finished yet. But that game looked really good. I'm interested in that. They didn't show a whole lot, but I imagine it's going to be like the last one where you're webbing around, swinging around the city. Just in a new world now. They showed Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. And at first I was like, are you dipping back and forth in the future? I mean, that's not to say that that's not happening. It happened really quick, so I couldn't figure out what's happening. But what I did notice, there was another Ratchet. And at first, I thought that was like a future Ratchet because it had gray fur. But it's a female character that's, you know, the same species as Ratchet. So maybe that's the character from the future coming back to the past to warn them. I don't know. There's some kind of time travel thing at play, and, you know, they call it a Rift Apart, which is interesting because they've had innuendos in all the titles, right? Going Commando, you know, is one of them. Up Your Arsenal, you know, you see what I'm saying? They have these suggestive titles, and then Rift Apart doesn't sound suggestive, no innuendo at all. So maybe this is a sign of maturity, or maybe they too ran out of, you know, ideas. South Park beat them to the punch with some of their titles. So another game that was interesting to me, and this because I like cats. I'm allergic to cats, but I like cats. The internet made me like cats more. Go figure. Stray. Now, this trailer opened up, it looked like a Pixar cartoon. A lot of these games that have an animation style look like, you know, Pixar movies now. I guess that's the thing. This game, it has you following a character who you think is the main character in this trailer. And the whole time I'm with my friend, I'm like, why are they focusing on the cat with the backpack? Move the camera back to the cat with the backpack. Oh, the main character is the cat with the backpack. Wow, I'm excited. I don't know how that's going to play, but I'm curious to see more of that. I am curious. So the cat is in a robot world because the camera starts out following this robot who I thought was the main character, but no. Maybe this cat is trying to attack these robots or needs the robots to help them. I don't really know too much about it, but it looks a little different, so I'm interested. House Marquee. What they're saying is this a alien psychological horror third-person shooter. I missed that. I must have been looking at my phone or something else, but evidently as a game that's coming out, it went quick. I might have saw remnants of the end of that trailer, but not too much of it, okay? So I can't talk too much about that. But what I can talk about is this Little Big Planet game that's not really Little Big Planet anymore. It's Sackboy, yes. I should be in the game room with my Sackboy figure. I'm not going to cut to go get it, though. But this game looks like Super Mario 3D World. Don't tell me that in the comments that it's not. You can't convince me. The platforming, the disappearing platforms are just straight Super Mario 3D World. So, you know, that's a compliment, or is it an homage? Well, it went from Sackboy to then them showing you it's 2-player. Then all of a sudden 2 more characters show up and it's a 4-player game. And you've got elements of, you know, maybe Uncharted where he can, you know, grapple. But other than that, it's just straight platforming, and it's unfair because Mario's the most successful platforming game, let alone probably the most, if not one of the most successful video game franchises ever. So how can you make any other kind of platforming? Well, there's Sonic, and then there's failure. And Sonic right now, well, I'm not going to incite the fury of you Sonic fans, so I'm just going to stop short of saying there's room for improvement. But they have their own style. And outside of that, I can't, well, okay, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro can fly, so he's got a little bit of platforming there. You could argue Rayman and all that, but it's not like what Sackboy is doing in his new game. It looks fun though. I will not buy it at launch. That's going to be a discounted title that I check out when I get the PS5. You know, I looked at Knack, and thank God there's not a Knack 3 that they've announced, but that gave me the same vibes as the Sackboy game, but I have more faith in this Sackboy game than I do in the Knack franchise. Knack just looked really good. It had some action in it, but Sackboy was straight up running, jumping, and it's like he's got his own enemies. I don't know if all of those were from Little Big Planet or from some other type of, or like a brand new game, and they made these enemies that he's running from, but it looked pretty fun. Destruction All-Stars. Now this All-Stars game, I was like, is that like PlayStation All-Stars? No, it's not related at all. It's its own thing. It made me think it was a fighting game though, the way it came out, so I really don't know what kind of game that is. It's got like a 90s look to it, like the characters and what they're wearing. Some of them look like they're dressed like King from Tekken, and you know, it's just a weird game. They jump in these cars, and I guess it's a racing game. Maybe it's like racing and like another genre. I'm not too sure. Kenya, Bridge of the Spirits. This is an action-adventure game. Not too much I can really say about it. It looks like stuff we've seen before, but not a lot of gameplay was shown for that. Now, there's this game here, Goodbye Volcano High. You're like, I guess, in some dinosaur high school. That's not a lot. I'm just reading the news at this point, but that's a game there because what we were looking at was how many titles were they going to release? How many were they going to show? You know, I imagine they're going to have 20 to 30 titles at launch. That, you know, some of which we haven't heard of yet, but maybe that's a little too ambitious given the pandemic situation. That could be reduced to as many as just 20. But, you know, these games, it's not like they haven't been working on them for the last 2 years. But the game that really stood out the most to me, I know there's one big title I'm going to say for the last, but the one that spoke out to me was this Oddworld Soulstorm. It's coming to PS5, and it looks gorgeous. It looks gorgeous. The action, it made me think, did the other Oddworlds play like this? Because I've been missing out. I've got one or two of those games. I think it's like Munch Odyssey or Abe's Odyssey. There's a couple different games. Those games have been coming out since the late 90s. And or maybe early 2000s, somewhere in that time frame. And they kind of just look weird because he's like some weird mutant. And I was like, can't judge a book by its cover, but, you know, I wasn't able financially to just get games like I can now as an adult. So when it came to Mario 64, Final Fantasy VII, Banjo-Kazooie, Zelda, Abe's Odyssey fell somewhere below, and I just never got into it. But when I saw this, I was like, oh, we've got to go back to the past. So, another game that was out was Ghostwire Tokyo. I'm not really sure what that's about. It looked like you're in the streets of Tokyo. Like, I don't know if it was hack and slash or what, but that's the vibe I got. Hitman 3. I knew it was Hitman when I saw it. I was like, is this either Hitman or GoldenEye, or not GoldenEye, but some kind of James Bond game. But the way they had the backstory set up, it was definitely Hitman. They didn't show a lot of action initially. It was just like, you know, a couple agents in some forest somewhere with, you know, flashlights on their guns. It looks interesting though. I'm hyped for it. I'm not saying I'm going to get that at launch either. I mean, that is next year sometime, early next year. But it does look to be very fun experience there. Agent 47 is back. So there's some futuristic game from the Super Brothers. I've never heard of this developer, called Jet: The Far Shore. Can't really tell you too much what that's about, but it's there. You have this other game called Godfall, which we heard of, and we've heard of it because that's probably going to be the first title that drops. I think that's scheduled to be the first title, like at launch for PS5. And they showed it's more melee, not just RPG, but it's like a hybrid of both. So that should be an interesting game. Hopefully that does what it needs to. There's a game called Solar Ash, and it had like a Journey type look to me. I could be mistaking this for another game, but I think that's the one that I remember. I'm not sure what to make of it graphically. I guess it looks all right. It looks okay, but I clearly don't remember too much about it for it to stood out more. It's not a shot at that game as much as it may not be a game for me just based off of what I saw. But maybe we'll see more of that later. NBA 2K21. I think they showed Zion Williamson as I guess the face of that. So he's probably going to be the cover guy for that one. It will drop this fall, just like it will on other systems. The Octodad guys, remember that game with the octopus and you've got to control like the arms and legs? The developers of that made this game, and it's just really weird. People say it won the stream. Not for me. It was just aloof. I mean, it was kind of cool to see fruits and vegetables crossbred with like the properties of like ants. So you have like ants that look like watermelons that could crawl and stuff. It was like, okay, this is it. It came off like a Nick Jr. Disney Channel cartoon. That's what it looked like graphically and everything. So while the humor might be there, it's not something that how you guys think that Nintendo games are all for kids and everything, just in how they look and how Nintendo's been, family friendly. Is this the PlayStation answer for some of that stuff? I don't know, but at least the platforming on Nintendo, the RPGs, the tactical game strategies, at least it's fun. So can't judge a book by its cover, but that doesn't look like it's going to be fun for me just off of what I've seen, but maybe I'll check it out. Okay, there's a game here, Little Devil Inside. Didn't see that one, so I can't speak on it. Demon Souls. I was like, oh, it's a Dark Souls game. Maybe it's Bloodborne. But no, it's Demon Souls. I knew it once I saw the armor. I was like, oh, even though I don't play those games, I recognize that franchise. It's coming on PS5. It looks really good. Some other game called Arcane's Deathloop. I must have missed that one. But what I did see, which we all knew was coming, Resident Evil 8, they're calling it Village. The VIII is now VILL, like in Village for 8. And it showed Chris Redfield. He's put on some weight. Pandemic hasn't been kind to him, I guess. He's been eating like a lot of us. Not really getting out. He was there and somebody was screaming, one of these other characters, Ethan I think his name was, and he's like, Chris, what are you doing? And Chris just busts a cap of somebody's head. I don't know if it was a zombie or a regular person, but Chris looked pretty miffed in this. There's a game called Pragmata from Capcom. I don't know how I missed that one, but I didn't see it. Finally, the main game everybody's looking at is the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn called Horizon Forbidden West. And I guess it's like the aftermath of the first game where the main character, Aloy, is now going west into like another area where, it was forbidden. So I have not finished that game either, so please don't spoil it for me, but I guess this is spoilers, but not too much. It's enough to say, okay. Unfortunately, there's sequels out. And for me, the fortunate part is I haven't finished the first game, but then also the fortunate part is, hey, there's a sequel because it was a good game. Go finish it. Whew. Okay, so that was a mouthful. So lastly, I'm going to show you what the PS5 looks like here. Okay, so what'd you think of that, right? Initially, I thought it looked like a vase, but no, it's just like a sleek design. A lot of trash talking out already. The Xbox Series X looks like a little mini PC, but people have been comparing it to like a mini fridge or a trash can. Just in its, simple design. It's just a box, like you say Xbox. It's a box, literally. I mean, I could mistake it for like a D-Link, one of these, tower routers. Oh, Sony said, hold my beer. It kind of looks like a router when I look at it too. It's this curvy design. It looks like a 360. Actually, it looks like an Xbox 360, but with like white plates on the side of it. You saw the video, so it's not like I can describe it any better. But what's noticeable there is what I didn't capture in that recording There's two models. So is this the end of GameStop in the making? We already say that all the time, that GameStop is on its way out. But Sony took it to fruition by showing you there's a digital model and a model that's going to play discs, the traditional kind. 4K Blu-ray player was opted out of in the PS4 Pro because the argument was, on Sony's end, people really stream more. They watch digital movies. They don't use the physical stuff. While that may be true when it comes to games, you have people who collect and don't really play games. Inadvertently, that's what happened to me. I ended up collecting games from my childhood, my teenage years, my youth, and like to revisit a lot of those. But then there's newer games that come out that I know are excellent, and I don't get a chance to catch up to them. There's games I have now that I probably won't catch up to till some of these PS5 games drop, and I'll just now be finishing, some of those, right? So I say that to say that disc model, hopefully it's backwards compatible with PS4 games. I believe it will be, and hopefully on top of that, the digital games you bought on PS4 on that account that you have for for PlayStation, hopefully they allow you to transfer all that over, re-download it all over. They've got to let you do that. Now that the specs are here, it's like, okay, PlayStation is giving you a slightly smaller hard drive because I guess their operating system is going to, take up more space than usually. You buy a 1 terabyte hard drive, it's not going to be just a free terabyte for you to use. 20 gigs of that might be eaten up by, software or something like that. Maybe not 20, but you get what I'm trying to say. You're not going to get that full terabyte. So that said, they didn't give you the price. So we've seen the controller. The controller has got that nice white, black, and blue look, mostly white with more blue and a little bit of black trim on the outlines. The rest of the system looks the same. So it's nice that it doesn't look like that V-shaped dev kit that we've been seeing. But there you go. They just leave a little bit of room for that disk drive. And that disk drive is going to be the kicker because this system could be anywhere from $400 for the digital version to $500-$600 for that, version with the disk drive. So now the ball's back in Microsoft's court to see what they're going to price it at, and I'm sure Sony, they're just, it's an arms race here, or it's the Cold War. It's like, okay, when they say their price, then we'll reduce our price to something similar, because although you Sony fanboys would have you believe that Sony's going to win this thing just out the gate, they've been outclassed spec-wise by the Sony's been outclassed spec-wise by the new Microsoft system. I'm more into the Microsoft system this go-around. That's not to say that the PlayStation 1 will be better. The deciding factor is, as always, going to be the games. I haven't seen 20 or so Microsoft games, and out of those, I'm not sure. I'm sure with the developers, they've been eating up. Some of them I'm going to be like, yo, this is a game I'm going to check out, and vice versa. Series X, I didn't see a digital-only version, but maybe there doesn't need to be. Maybe Microsoft, later on comes out with a version and is like, this is the digital only, and it's got a price cut to compete with Sony. I imagine that they'll do something like that. It's pretty obvious to me that they'll do something like that at a certain point. So, it swings back to Nintendo. Are you going to abandon these cartridges and just make stuff digital only? Who knows? Maybe they come up with a smaller, like SD card type thing, micro SD, and say, hey, these are your games now. I'm just speculating at this point. But I thought the presentation overall was good. I was happy with it. It showed me far more than I imagined it would, especially in this climate. It was a Nintendo Direct, but like a movie style, sit back, have some popcorn, watch these trailers. That was cool for what it was. I'm excited about the Godfall game, the Spider-Man game, that Oddworld game, the Ratchet and Clank game, and the Horizon game. And I'd be remiss to say, hey, Last of Us 2 comes out next week. It'll probably get ported over to PS5 as well. So did I cover everything? We went over the 1UP arcade, but not in detail. That is going to have the Marvel vs. Capcom games, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, and a Marvel pinball game. All of that's coming out relatively soon, I think end of the year. So that was a bombshell for me, because I was like, oh, they got Marvel to agree to let Capcom make these cabinets. So now I just want to drop. It's like, do I drop $400 for one of those, or $400 for one of these new consoles? Or do I just get one of those Street Fighter cabinets on discount and put my ROMs on there? We'll see. We'll figure something out. But I'm excited for all that. I'll let you guys know how the game room looks now. I never did like a tour of my game room. Not something I really care. It's like, hey, if you're happy with your game room, your setup, cool. Don't really care one way or another about somebody else's. It's nice to see people's, but it's not one of those, oh, I gotta have my game room like yours. I can get ideas seeing other people's game rooms. That's what I like about it. But I finally updated mine. I'm happy. It's a comfortable room. We got the Rampage cabinet in there, like I said earlier in the video. Thank you once again for my Patreons for sticking with me. We'll have some more of the games that I've been playing. We'll be wrapping up some of those. See you guys in the video. Like, comment, subscribe. Other Yellow Hat Guy out. Captain Sensation!